Howdy folks, it's Nito with AP 2020 Outdoors. You know, I've been an avid roll my owner for a long time now. And no, I'm not going to say the R word because we know how YT is. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about my venture into the 5x7x28 ammo. I just picked up a Sheridan slotted case gauge. Check this out. So before we talk about the Sheridan slotted case gauge, let's look at the anomalies of the 5.7x28 in a pistol blowback system. The fired brass in the center, I used a 27 cal comparator, and I used my dial calipers, and the base to shoulder measurement is 1.465 inches. Now a factory round is 1.434 inches to the shoulder. That's your base to shoulder dimension. That shoulder gets pushed forward 31 thousandths of an inch, which is crazy if you think about that. If we look at the Sheridan case gauge, you'll notice several steps at the base of the gauge. The first step is called the A step. This is your max chamber dimension, the no-go gauge. The next step is the B step. This is your minimum chamber dimension, your go gauge. Finally, the third step, the C step, is the minimum brass dimension. That's your SAMI spec. Of course, now this is your dimension obviously from the base forward. So here's a factory FN 40 grain load. We'll go ahead and just enter it. We'll just insert it in the Sheridan slotted case gauge. Now these gauges are cut with a chamber reamer to minimum SAMI spec, unlike other gauges which are typically cut larger. The dimensions for the barrel is actually the ID of the lands of a barrel itself. So if you look closely, you could see the shoulder, the neck, and then of course the case mouth. So this factory round obviously meets the spec. Here's my loaded round using the Lehigh Defense 32 grain controlled chaos bullets. Once again, you can see that meets the spec. And in fact, if you look at my cases, I actually have these trimmed down to 1.130 brass base to case mouth length. And you could see that I do have definitely clearance from the case mouth to the chamber. Now this is my barrel from my Ruger 5.7, and this brass is actually a fired case. So the brass actually extracts without issue. However, if we put it in the Sheridan case gauge, just to give you an idea of the tolerances, it won't even insert. When I first started researching, actually reloading for the 5.7x28, I was just simply blown away by this strange anomaly. You know, typically when you're reloading bottleneck cartridges, you typically should not see shoulder movement, you know, no more than 1 or 2 thou. Other than that, you have a serious headspace issue. Well, the anomaly with the 5.7 blowback pistol designs, what's happening is as you fire, you know, obviously, you know, these loads are rated up to 50,000 psi. So what happens is the action starts unlocking, and you still have a relatively high chamber pressure, so the brass actually is still flowing axially forward and radially outward. So what happens is the shoulder gets pushed forward as the case starts ejecting. So this piece of brass is a sized, untrimmed. The length is 1.143 inches. So it's size, but I can tell you that the length is too long. I'm actually above the A size. It's maybe hard to see on the video, but I'm actually above the A size, so this piece of brass obviously needs to be trimmed. This brass is sized and it's trimmed to 1.130, which is the classic length. So we'll insert that and we'll check. We're definitely below the A, and we're right, probably just a little below the B as well. I can just discern the difference with my flathead screwdriver. Just as a final check, this is my home rolled. It's with the Hornady 40 grain VMAX. We'll do the couple checks here. Yes, I'm below the B, and I'm probably right on the A, but I'm right on the C. I'm definitely below the A, right on the B. So once again, if we look at the case mouth, you can see the clearance just forward of the case mouth on the Sheridan slotted case gauge. Very important, okay? Very important that that dimension is maintained on your loaded brass. All right, folks, that's Nito with AP 2020 Outdoors. So you know what? The Sheridan slotted case gauge, by the way, this is a patented device. There's no other case gauge manufacturer out there that actually has the slot. The slot is key in trying to get perfect, homegrown, roll your own loads, especially for the 5.7 by 28 millimeter. Remember, support that Second Amendment. We'll see y'all later, and happy roll your owning.